my laptop and never gave it back for the kids during COVID because hers croaked, and I gave her one of my good ones because I knew the kids needed to do school, but they never gave it back. So I was like, all right, well now I kind of want the new battery for mine so I can sell it for a nice price. But I was good. So I was going to, if they had those.
It says Art's talking, but I didn't hear Art.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, now I hear him.
You didn't hear me. You didn't hear me because I wasn't talking.
Oh, well, it said you were talking. So.
Okay.
Yeah. How's it going, Art?
Pretty good. You?
Not too shabby. Trying to figure out what to do with all my computers. Know anybody in the market?
Computators.
Yeah.
We need some computators.
4 i3s. I definitely don't care about the i3s. I just want them out. I pulled them all out from under my desk, ran diagnostics. All of them are in working order.
For now.
Yeah. And I got all of my T3600s. I bought so many of those stupid 5810s the other day. I can get rid of all my 3600s now. But I got to migrate over to the new boxes.
Yeah. I pretty much stopped looking at computers because you just can't give them away anymore.
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, dude, so I got a 7810 from him like 3 weeks ago, but it only had one CPU in it. It's a dual processor graphic workstation. I was like, well, that's interesting. It's like, oh, so I need one of the heat sinks. Well, it's like $200 for one of those heat sinks. I was like, well, that's stupid. They got two 5810s there. I'll go see what they want for the 5810s. They're the 5810 and 7810 are the same series, the same heat sink.
It's Jim.
They sold me a year earlier 5810 for $20. I'm like, okay. So I just take the heat sink out of that. I just saved $180.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm sitting there looking for the good CPUs. Well, the good CPUs, they're like $200 a piece here in the States.
Thank you.
China's selling.
How late you get extra? Oh, extra.
AliExpress has them for $30. So I dug into the $200 one on Amazon. They ship from China anyway.
Yeah.
So I was like, I might as well just order from AliExpress. They're used anyhow. I mean, because they're 5-year-old chips. I might as well get the ones from China. All of them are made in Malaysia anyway. So I was like,
oh, cool.
by hands down, it'll be the best computer I have in my network. Kind of cool. The Star Wars deck from those need to be like chewy and hot.
Yeah, I was thinking
Leia and Vader or something.
They kind of cheaped out on the actual art. Well, that kind of looks like the Emperor.
Yeah. That'd have been really good.
Yeah, but well,
sets though.
That kind of looks like Ben.
Yeah.
And the Emperor. Oh, they did. Look here. That's what's her name? Mothman Man or whatever.
Mothman.
And that's
Vader's grandson.
Vader's grandson. Oh, and there's Padme. Oh, and they even made her a queen.
Oh, of course, it's got to be the queen.
And our Jokers are
droids.
Makes sense. X-wing. So they didn't
skin. Just made it a little tricky
to see it, yeah. But then they recycled. I think that's supposed to be Leia. Oh, and there's Han, who shot first. just in case anybody cares.
Yeah.
There's Balder.
There's a bakery.
So they didn't skimp, but they skimped.
It made it tricky. Now it's a game of guessing who's who.
Ah, that's Lando, I think.
Young Lando.
That's Ray.
Yep.
So we got most of the major players.
Surely there's a Luke in there somewhere.
I did not see Luke.
They have everybody else. Not.
And not Luke.
Well, Luke would be a king or something. No, you got one king.
We got.
There's
I think we're missing a couple. Nope, there he is. There's a king.
About the King of Diamonds.
Yeah, there's a king of diamonds. There's.
Oh, maybe is that old Luke?
That might be old Luke instead of Kenobi.
Well, I'm gonna say because I don't.
Yeah,
Could be
there might be two Kenobis, or one of them is a Luke. This looks like it's characters, a mixed bag of characters.
Maybe.
Because those two are definitely from the new movies,
Yeah.
and he's definitely from the new set. But
Yeah,
she's
right.
kind of in between, and he is definitely
Dead.
dead.
So is she. And Moth Martha is dead by then too. But Lando doesn't look like that. Like Lando from the road. Or Han Solo.
It's Star Wars, and they kind of look like either the Millennium Falcon or
It's the
Death Star, half and half.
I was gonna say it's like the Death Star plans. Oh, on the Millennium Falcon screen, yeah. I was gonna say I thought it was the tack screen on Hoth or something. But you're right, it looks like the
Half and half.
well, you got the new order symbol.
Yeah. It's
That's
a
weird.
It's a weird mixed bag of Star Wars cards.
Yeah, it's neat. I like droids.
Right.
I've thought about trying to build that one just for the shits and giggles.
Yeah.
But
BBA.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to have an R2D2, but it's so expensive. Not that that wouldn't be any cheaper because it's like 2 less motors and probably even harder to get parts. Make a Spiro.
Or you could buy a Spiro. Spiro actually made one that they sold.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Like a life size?
No, well,
Or a mini?
it's a mini. I've got the BB9E model. I played with it like that much and went, okay, that's cool. Set it up on a shelf.
That's what I thought about my little quadcopter. I was like, I've used it like 2 days for like less than an hour.
Okay, that's cool.
I haven't touched it since. And I was like, I got another one I've never even messed with. It's like
charge the batteries, because if you don't, they will go bad.
Well,
and you'll be
I was sitting there looking at it for because I bought extra batteries for my quadcopter, and I was like, that was before COVID, and I haven't used it since. They're probably all dead now anyway.
Oh yeah.
They were a lipo, so I don't know if lipo dies.
I have a really nice quadcopter, but the batteries have set so long they won't take a charge anymore.
Yeah.
And now the company doesn't make that quadcopter anymore, and finding the batteries is nearly impossible. Though if I could get into the case, I could replace what's in there because they're just lipo battery.
Yeah.
But
you just need to match up voltages.
I can't get into. They've ultrasonically sealed the flipping case, and I'm going to either have to just bust it to get it out, or
got a special plug or something.
of course they do. Why wouldn't they?
Well, I mean, I haven't messed with a whole lot of RC stuff, but all the RC stuff I was looking at, they have a pretty much universal plug, kind of like your robots do nowadays. But
well,
it depends on the brand.
See, that would have made sense, but that also means they can't sell you batteries,
right,
for the inflated price of a $15 battery for $45.
Right.
So,
but I say if you got your connector off, you probably wire it to whatever you want to wire.
Well, as long as the battery would fit into the battery compartment, it should work.
Yeah.
They're 12-volt battery. They're not uncommon. They're actually a fairly common battery. It's the connector that's the problem in getting into the case to get the connector out. Because I got to see, it's 3 prongs, so it's not even like I can take a voltmeter and go, okay, this is a positive and negative. One of those has to be a charging line.
Uh-oh.
Temperature.
And
that didn't sound good.
And
so
since the batteries are pretty flat, since the batteries are pretty flat, I don't even think I could take a meter to them anyway. And
got there.
I forgot my camera.
Oh, he forgot his camera.
It's still plugged into the big boy.
We'll have to wing it today.
Oh, I gotta put the camera on. I thought it was on. Being recorded. Oh, okay.
You are being recorded.
Oh, there I am. Yeah.
Yep.
So what's that little sucker?
Well, do we want to wait a few more minutes to see if Vicente or whatever?
Just curious. Look like you have some kind of leveraging.
It's cool.
Floating, panning thingy.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's supposed to be, is a pan and tilt thingy that mostly works, but for some reason the pan for the tilt part of it doesn't really do what it's supposed to do.
I need to get my 3D printer and start playing.
Somebody went diddle-oo.
You don't watch Bengali, do you? Bengali, excuse me. No.
I haven't really seen Spinguli in a while.
I haven't watched a lot of anything. Person of interest in Stargate, and that's about it.
I'm watching it's such a riveting movie show I can't even remember what it's called. Oh great. But I'm watching it.
Do you want to see something really crazy? There's something really crazy coming on. It's on Max now. I have to have access to Max. It's called Peacemaker. Have you ever heard of Peacemaker?
Yeah.
Pretty wacky group.
Was that a comic?
It's
I was thinking it was in that what they call the Colt 357 or something in the old days.
This is a superhero, quote unquote,
knockoff
comedy show or something. But it's they do a really weird dance when they're coming on starting up the show, and it's really bizarre.
Kind of like some court cases going on.
Yeah,
I've been watching Manifest. That's what the show's called, Manifest. It's an interesting show.
What's that about?
So people on a plane. Yeah, it's a sci-fi mystery kind of thing. They don't know what happened to them. They disappeared for 5 years. The plane landed
Nobody on it.
Well, no, the plane landed with everybody on it, but they've lost 5 years.
5 years, okay. I
And
got you now.
so the entire world has moved on, and they're
All of a sudden I showed up.
all like, yeah, but it was just yesterday we got on this plane, and everybody's like, no, it's been like 5 years, 5.5 years that you got on this plane.
That's not a good thing.
It's
Been done before 4 or 5 times, but okay.
it's definitely an interesting.
It's some of the other junk that's on television nowadays.
We got Naked and Afraid, Castaways. Are you kidding me?
What's the new highlighted show of the year?
Futurama.
No, this is the only one they said it would be worth watching. The 60-year-old.
I have no idea. I don't really pay attention to. If
It's the gold edition of Bachelor.
Oh, wow.
They got like a 60-year-old farmer.
Why?
I'm sorry, I can't watch that. Wow.
Well, it's the only new show with the writer's strike. They said it'll be the only thing that's even airing that's going to be new.
Alone's still running.
Yeah.
Alone's got at least one more.
There's actually some stuff on BYU that they're not part of the writer's strike. They're still producing some.
There's a couple shows that I think are going to go ahead and do their shows regardless of it, but I could care less what Hollywood does, to be frankly honest.
Yeah, I mean, I find the BYU network, it's a hit or miss kind of network. They definitely have a slant in one direction or.
Yeah.
Now, is that Byron Young University?
Yeah.
Gosh, sorry, I'm missing that one. Yeah.
They definitely have a slant in one direction. Some of their shows are pretty good though.
They got good writers. You know, I'm with you. And most of the crap we see on TV. If my sister watches it, I definitely will not. No, I can't watch it. I don't understand. I watch Forensic Files or just.
I mostly watch
2020.
I mostly watch cooking competitions. That's mostly what I watch. And really, really old sci-fi.
I was into NCIS, but I don't think I'm 3 seasons behind on it even nowadays. And that was the only show with that and Blue Bloods.
You watch NCIS 24 hours a day.
Oh yeah, they've got 20 seasons of it. And then
I can't watch NCIS because
NCIS LA is not too bad, but the other two I could care less about.
Well, they got some new cop shows. The New Zealand, you know, the Police 1070. That's New Zealand. And in case you don't know, people drink in New Zealand a lot. And then we got to serve and protect. That's a Canucks. The Canucks have got a police show. It's kind of lame compared to cops, but it's they're getting better. They're working on it. And then
are you what are you doing, eh?
Yeah,
we're just sitting here. Oh, okay, eh? See you later.
Oh yeah, the New Zealand cops are there. So British. It's so hilarious. You don't realize if they have to put somebody in the back seat, somebody's got to be back there with them. Oh yeah, and they're so polite. And I would want to kill. Well, American cop would have killed several of them. You know.
What was
throw up in the back of my car? Oh yeah, go ahead, do it. See what happens.
Yeah, the RP in the back. They done that. Yeah,
it was Steven Seagal's shit series, a cop show. I never watched that.
No. I did watch maybe one of them.
Yeah, I don't know how many seasons. Yeah, so he quit doing movies and became a cop in Texas or something.
Yeah.
So they like follow him around for like 3 or 4 seasons when he was a cop. And he kind of got in trouble because they stormed like some drug dealer's house with a tank, busted the wall down.
Well, yeah.
And
it's Seagal. What do you expect?
They didn't have any drugs there.
Well, darn.
You know.
Is that anything like
dealer sued.
Trying to follow Dog the Bounty Hunter around?
Probably.
Yeah.
I love Dog. That was a
I
good
like
show.
Dog. Yeah.
Yeah. Dog's got his own channel, of course, but you know, it's just
he probably does
rerun.
on
We've seen them all.
Peacock or something.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever watch the plane repo show?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they reincarnated that, and it's pretty bad now.
Is it? I've only seen like 2 or 3 episodes way back. Like that looked like that'd be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let me go hop in a plane. I don't know the condition. Let's send in our mechanics and rebuild the engine first before we try to get the plane back because half of it's across the warehouse floor. I'm thinking that's not how I'd want to repo a plane.
And it's of course it's a reenactment. None of them it's not real. Okay. Oh, yeah. But it's pretty realistic. Yeah. This kind of sort of they didn't dramatize it too much. It was believable, but you could tell, nah.
Yeah, it's getting a little shady. Stretching a little too though.
But it's better than whatever those writers write. That's my God, how can anybody watch TV?
I don't know.
But they still have, the 2020 and that sort of stuff's okay. You watchable.
Let's see if this thing actually works. If Vicente shows up, he missed it. So let's see if this thing actually works. This thing takes a lot of freaking power. I've had this battery charged all night long. So and just to make sure it gets the juice it needs. It's probably going to try to track you, Art.
Oh, yeah?
It's probably going to try to track me because is there a green light on the camera?
Nope.
It doesn't see a person.
Oh, your eyeball.
Hello, see a person. Why aren't we working?
Panasonic's got a new camera that can see miles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it has latest 0.0001 lumens. So basically in pure dark. Okay. And that's on the market, almost 25 grand a pop. But it looks good. You can see miles with it. Super high resolution, super light sensitivity.
They're probably replacements. They're the old ones that are decommissioning from Area 51. Yeah. They got something better.
It's the sensor is single layer, they're saying. So it's interesting. There's a link to it in the news. And the new batteries are it's in the chute now. Eventually the lithiums will be replaced at some time in the future. And they're already starting to schedule the production, some of them in 2023. It's not lithium ion, it's sodium ion. And sodium, as some might note, is much more plentiful than lithium.
Yeah.
The power hasn't got the power density there, but they're getting there.
All right. Bang.
Okay.
Good point when you shot it.
It did blink when I shot it. It's got the eyeball. It's supposed to track a face, but apparently it decided not to work here because it is the library.
Do you smell that? Listen, do you smell that?
Listen, do you smell that?
I put up another Yagi antenna today. I'm getting to be an antenna professional. 2.4 gigahertz. Gigahertz. And I'm beginning to think that if you're trying to put signals into a tin barn, there are issues.
Yeah. A tin barn, you say?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try my TP-Link line driver, the power line driver, and pop up out there. It was a valiant effort. Yeah, the interstate was bad today. They caught me this time. They didn't get you, but right after you, it was bad.
You can hear it. Making a little vibrating noise, but it's
Yeah, but what the heck happened to it? I literally picked it up from the house working, put it in the car, drove it 15 miles, took it out.
And that's all it takes. Put it in the library and you're done. Yeah.
And brought it into the library.
Maybe you're indicting the library wrongly. Maybe it's that car.
Ghost in the car.
Ghost in the car.
Or alien battery source in the library. One or the other.
My repeater is 500 milliwatts. My 2.4 gigahertz router is 500 milliwatts. Is that the average power to the router?
500 milliwatts seems, that seems.
I've never
Maybe
paid attention to power
watt.
consumption on anything in computers, other than the power supply wattage required to operate a laptop.
Or a desktop that needs a laptop.
Or the desktop when it bitches because you put ECC RAM in now wants the next power supply up.
Oh, you know what I can do? I do have a, yeah, one of those extenders, but they do slow things down. Yeah, because you're going to cut everything in half at the speed in half. When you use a Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi extender, you cut the speed in half.
That's weird.
I got plenty of speed, but
so they put in some mesh network crap with the fiber when they installed it.
I'm mesh now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I get 850 on everything, but those stupid things like detrain, like once or twice a freaking week, and I go unplug them and plug them back in.
This one I got is 5 megahertz only.
Yeah,
it doesn't even have 2.4, which
they put like 3 or 4 of those little Google pucks through the house, and I mean they don't work with it. Shit. I mean, you when they are working, you pull 850 megs from the internet on wireless, which blows my mind. But like 2 weeks, you'd be like watching TV and it'll all go out, and then it's like, what the crap? And you gotta go unplug all of them and plug them all back in.
Mine's pretty stable, but they won't go through a wall. I mean, seriously, that's 5 gigahertz won't go through a wall. Nope.
Oh.
Do you know what the wall is, Jim?
Sheetrock.
Oh, yeah.
It's plain sheetrock?
Yep.
Yeah, it won't go through concrete.
And
if I want to go through that wall, I got to go 2.4.
I looked at a thing a while back how to insulate against different bandwidths, and that does not like concrete rock.
Is this an interior wall or an exterior wall?
Interior.
No chance there's insulation in it, is there?
Shouldn't be. It's between the kitchen and the dining room.
Because if it's insulation, a lot of times they have aluminum foil on one side of the there's a vapor barrier on one side of the insulation, and that 5 gigahertz is not going to go through.
Yeah, it's inside wall.
No,
When it sees a face, a little green light on it comes on. And it's getting power, so. It's decided.
But anything that's in my barn, my metal barn, I have trouble with, or even by the metal barn. I've got a camera outside the metal barn, and it doesn't like that one. And it's line of sight. I mean, it's 65 feet line of sight. I mean, that should be fine.
should be, but you probably get near interference. So
And then I've got one on the other end of the barn that is solid as a rock.
huh. That's what I'd like to put some cameras around, but
But they do have the extenders that will go for miles, and they're cheap, like $20 a piece. But you got the extender, and then you got to put a device at the other end. It repeats the Ethernet.
Yeah.
And then they're supposed to be pretty good. And they're going like, I see people going 800 feet to their gazebo and stuff like that. But they're using, they're not wireless access points. They're this guy transmitting to this guy. And it turns out the communication is proprietary between the two. And then it comes out RJ45 at the end. I may have to do that.
We messed with all kinds of the crap like that at Joyful, trying to do a TV presentation thing system. The boss wanted they wanted to like billboards through the plant for whatever HR wanted to put together, and oh my gosh, we used like 3 different companies stuff trying to, because they didn't want to spend any money on it.
Of course.
So it was the cheapest thing we could find on AliExpress. One actually worked halfway well, but the we got like 5 televisions that we were managing from the computer in the server room, and but the resolution, because they were just random TVs, they're not computer resolutions.
Oh, right? Yeah, well, good luck with that. Yeah.
Making the Excel spreadsheet look right on the television was like, are you serious?
You should have just shot the stuff to begin with. The objective is what?
Yeah. Like you were buying random televisions. Well, this one's 720p. This one over here is 1080. This one over here is like, we don't know. Like,
now I do have a rabbit. You know what the rabbit is?
Yeah.
I got, and it's solid. I mean, bam, you get it lined up, you're on. I use it. I use it a lot. When I'm watching something in the family room, I'll just go to the kitchen, turn on the TV, and put it on. It's AVI, but it's fine for what I need.
All right,
solid as a rock.
Here we go. Maybe.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Like your screensaver.
Yep.
I don't want to.
Well, he's letting get it. Always getting smart in his old age. He's
video recorded when it's working.
Yeah. Get it when it's live.
I'm moving back and forth, and you can see it moving and tracking my head.
Are you trying to make an auto-targeting site?
Well, kind of. That TV thing, the talks, the original guy, he had actual animatronic eyes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing digital animatronic eyes. And I hate this stupid person thinking that has to be the worst sensor ever. ever. Because when it decides to work, it works great. But it mostly decides not to work.
That's weird. Stuff so flaky though.
Now is that okay? That's on the
I could get back here and I've got one more.
Does it run Windows?
It would almost seem like a run. You could see it's kind of moving. It's real slow, but it's working. But it's not panning, or it's not tilting. It's panning, but it's not tilting. And I don't really understand that either because the formula for pan
the same for tilt.
Almost exactly the same.
With Y instead of X. Or Z instead of Y.
So this is 90, more or less. 90. 0, 180. So you start off with 90 being your base number. Well, when it's on tilt or pan, this is 180. So 180 is the base number. So it goes down to 0. Which I think is probably the problem because it's at its uppermost point where it probably should start at something like that. But when it's working, anyway, that's it. You can kind of see it working, kind of, sort of, kind of. How do I stop sharing? Okay, I'm leaving. I'm eating. So the way I built the servo, this is 180. So this is the full, which it probably should go to 90 first instead of 180. But I think it would go to 180 anyway. We're pretty close to it. You missed it. You missed the demo, such as it was.
email it to him. Yeah.
You can watch the recording. It was better. It worked in the video.
It worked in the video. Yeah, I've learned the library just hates projects.
You didn't pray enough to the demo gods.
You need to go back to using the router.
No, it has absolutely nothing to do with Wi-Fi.
Okay.
It has more to do with
It's a live demo.
Yeah.
It has more to do with this person sensor is extremely flaky. And I think it's the stupid quick cable lean system that for whatever reason SparkFun loves, but kind of sucks. It's so delicate, it's so tiny. For whatever reason, SparkFun loves that stupid cable.
That's my opinion on USB-C too. So
yeah, well, I hear everybody. I hear a lot of people. Oh, it's got USB-C. It's great. No, it's okay at best. It's not.
It's fast.
Great.
You can plug it in either way, and it works. And mine just works.
As long as you're got a good cable and one of the pins, one of the wires isn't bad, or
well, yeah, that's true.
Little tiny
wires.
All those micro USB. How many of those have you seen go bad? Tons. Or you get warped where they won't fit. You get warped because you plugged them in the wrong way or tried to plug them in the wrong way.
I've got one USB-C cable that works fine if it's plugged in one direction. If you turn it over, it refuses to work. absolutely refuses to work.
Not a power feed on that one side.
Or one of the pins has gotten pulled loose. Actually, it powers up the device, but it doesn't show up as a serial device. So it's
kind of on both sides.
At Reisenfeld, we had all Dell machines. For 8 years I worked there. 4 years we had Dells with the little round barrel connectors. And we had 2 of them break. The last 4 years they were USB-C. We had dozens of them break. They were just fragile.
They'll switch to those USB-C docks for the Dell Precision laptops. We never had one of those work. Well, I'll take that back. We had one that worked right when it was in the office that we set up and shipped to Seattle. But all the engineers in the field, they never worked for us.
So in other words, take a picture because it's working. Take a video because it's working, because it won't work by the time it gets to you.
Well, we ended up having like 3.
Take it to the library. It's not going to work.
We never touched them, and they never got any of those to work. Dell gave us, swapped those out. I don't know how many times. I quit caring because we didn't have to deal with them too much when they out there in Seattle. But they gave up talking to us about getting their stuff fixed. So I don't know how they did. If they were dealing with Dell Direct at that point or what.
Speaking of which, we haven't actually tested this yet.
Uh-oh.
Dell messed up a lot of people, buddy, with their bad capacitors. Oh my God.
Bad capacitors.
You didn't know about the bad capacitors? Oh God. Years they did that. And
On what?
their PCs, every damn PC they ship.
What?
You know about the bad, he knows about the bad capacitors.
I'll say I always just do business class material or better.
Yeah.
So if you're talking like Visi or there was other
Oh, it
sold
was good.
song or
It was all their systems had bad caps for years.
I don't know if I'm thinking.
Yeah,
They went to those they finally went to those metal caps, and that solves the problem.
I would have never heard of.
I had plenty of I had a couple of precisions in the shop, had to be recapped. I had a couple of actually I bought some precisions from an auction, and every last stinking one of those things had to be recapped.
So power supplies, motherboard.
It was the motherboard. Right near the processor, right where they get hot. And they finally went with the metal caps, not the electrolytic. The electrolytic finally, or the metal caps finally fixed the problem. But they were getting hot, and you could tell every last stinking one of them I saw either bubbled or was just flat out leaking.
They went with a different vendor.
Yeah, so apparently
What years are we talking?
Oh,
It's
it's been a while. It's been a while ago. It's
10 years.
probably closer
More
to
than that.
probably closer to 20.
I've got
It
since the D was it 520 and up or 510 and up. I don't know.
the D series was okay for the most part. There were a few of the D series that had some bad caps in them. For the most part, that's when they started fixing the problem.
You know, I had the T400 that I used a long time. It came out in 98.
Yeah.
And I got it in 2000.
So what had happened was they had made some really good machines, and then they, in a cost saving method, a vendor had offered them caps at fractions of pennies.
Well, yeah.
And Dell, being Dell, decided, okay, we'll buy every one of them that you've got, untested. Every one of these caps, turns out, had been sitting on a dock in China, exposed directly to seawater, air, whatever bad, nasty things could happen. And the vendor needed to get rid of them. And they found Dell to be a sucker and buy every last one of them.
I heard that the vendor got the formula, but there was another ingredient that they didn't know about. And oops.
Yeah.
Even manufacturing boards for Dell that far back.
It wasn't the boards, it was the parts. HP was another one that bought from the same guy, and all the caps.
I doubt that those Dell as a purchaser would not have probably controlled what component the board manufacturer is making. Because I mean, Dell's a reseller; they don't manufacture.
Right, but
so the manufacturer of the board,
it was
using.
It was in Dell machines, so
Yeah.
Dell got the bad rap for it.
Well, no,
I think they've made up for it because everything I've had that was Dell that was made after 2012 has been just rock solid.
You go to Butler Tech and their electrical system, all their major circuit breakers are gone, replaced with vacuum breakers. And why? Because Dell was telling them, you got too much noise on your line.
Breakers don't.
Yeah, they made up for that, I'm sure. Yeah.
HP, Acer, a few models of Acer, HP, Dell, what was the other one? Gateways. They all bought from the same vendor that was selling caps that had been exposed to the weather.
Like I said, yeah, I mean,
and there was going to be there was a chance you would get a good one, but there was an equal chance that you were going to get one that had bad caps. But almost all the board manufacturers, almost all of them, finally switched to those nice metal caps that cost a little bit more but work.
I mean, there was only like 2 companies on the planet that built boards, so I mean, it's not like I mean, they make it for everybody.
Yeah.
And after the tsunami, I doubt there's even more than one plant that makes boards anymore.
But yeah, it was a huge thing, and Dell was the biggest, and HP was second because I remember opening up hundreds of HPs and going, yep, it's got bad caps. Pull the parts.
So to say, is that what you blow up and catch on fire on the Bigfoot drives?
Yeah, it wasn't worth
some of those.
It wasn't worth fixing some of those machines because they were already low end machines to start with. So it's just pull parts, throw it away.
Yeah, I remember the tsunami. There was like 6 plants that made hard drives in the world. The tsunami destroyed 4 of them.
You got a message on your screen from
a massage?
A massage.
We think they say, oh,
but it was a huge problem. It's not so much a problem now.
Well, probably with Gigabyte had some shitty boards.
You see my face? No, you don't. Why don't you see my face? Why aren't you working?
When it went to ATX power supply, the soft button would quit working on the board. It'd stop reading. And I went round and round and round with. I bought a computer from. What was it? Info. What was the big company that made computers?
MECI.
It was like info something. They were in the PC guide. I bought a bunch of computers from them, but the one I got for myself had that gigabyte board, and it had a 4 or 5 year warranty back then, you know. So I went through like 5 motherboards, and I finally got like a version 2, a revision 2 of that motherboard. Never had a problem with it until it got something went bad on that board that wasn't the soft boot. And they gave me back a revision like 1.1 board with that stupid soft boot issue. Drove me nuts for like 3 months. And then finally they sent me that Pentium Pro 120 to take its place at the end of the warranty. It's because I'd gone through like 7 machines or something. They were like, here,
Pentium Pro is kind of dating this.
Well, but that's, I mean, those boards, you know, I went through so many of those stupid boards back then. The only time I ever really had that kind of trouble with a motherboard.
That was
That was in the late 90s or something, mid 90s.
Mid.
Yeah. Well, let's say the 5 years was up, they gave you a Pentium 120, so to take its place at the end of the warranty.
Yeah, it's actually nicely done processor.
Oh,
The 120 was surprisingly fast for the time.
oh, yeah. It
Worked well.
was very stable, very good. It was the first of the Pentiums to be decent. 133s were pretty nice too.
Mm-hmm.
okay, why don't you be
The 120 on NT4, if you compress the OS drive, scream how much faster they would run compressed.
Really?
Yeah.
Only compressed drive once. Decided it wasn't worth it.
Oh,
Boss had me do all kinds of crazy tests for what, like that. I mean, he said like for a whole month I just took like one of all of our machines and did all kinds of crazy settings in NT4 to optimize the performance out of the equipment. And the 120
lights on.
were the first ones that
yeah, for some
I was
reason.
looking around.
that would accelerate with
Oh, there it goes.
it's tracking him.
It needed a bigger object to look at. Yeah,
I told you it's power hungry. It needed more power, even though I had it plugged into.
Weird. What, do you put in a bigger battery or something?
Kind of.
Oh, I got a nice big battery.
See, now it's tracking Steve.
Is it?
Well, yes,
Okay.
it jumped. Now
it's kind of a bigger object.
Now it sees. Now it sees.
I mean,
it's getting very confused. There's too many people.
Does Apple logo count as a face?
Now a face counts as a face, so
Now
What was
it's a
the issue?
recognizable.
I saw the light come on.
right after.
So
If you can see the light, the light was on over it. Light's on now. Yeah.
and it's actually moving. It's actually.
I'm not a face, go away.
It will actually attempt to track. It's very slow, but it will. Oh, it sees me now. Now it's trying to track me.
No, it's like, yeah.
He's confused.
I was trying to.
Got a big battery pack if you want to try it.
No, I actually had it plugged into the main, so
Yeah.
I was running it at home off of the. See, I'm smart. I brought another battery pack with it though.
I went down the battery path a time or two. At
Well,
the library, battery at the library's theme song, our theme song.
we have been down this path many times where stuff works one way and
But now you got it going. It's definitely
it's tracking. It's tracking more or less.
it's green now. It's green. If it's green, it sees something. I assume.
Yes. If it's green,
it's honing. It's gonna turn and look at me now.
And then when the battery
You're looking
dies,
at me?
they'll walk in.
No, you're moving your hand.
I'm moving. I don't know what it sees. I don't know if it sees both of you and it's a little confused.
And trying to figure out which one's the cutest. I know, well.
There. It chose Steve.
See, no, yeah, there you go.
It chose Steve.
No, it's showing me. You're playing with it.
Down the hall.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that, oh, look. And that battery actually died, but it's still working. Go figure what.
No,
I
we're
hate
not
this
gonna go
thing.
down the battery path.
I
No,
hate
no.
this thing. I hate this thing. It needed that extra little jolt from this battery long enough to kill itself. Yeah. Threaten it. It needs to be threatened.
Battery's up.
So here's the other issue with this particular setup. If the servo driver is plugged in, it will not charge the onboard battery. Will not, absolutely 100% refuses to charge the onboard battery. But the onboard battery, the servo driver needs the onboard battery to drive the servos. I said, that is the most stupidest design I have ever seen in my life. So I bought this servo driver, which has an onboard battery, but uses a different protocol to talk to the stupid thing. So it's not a direct plug-in replacement. It's not hard to fix. It's just
Yeah.
the same company made both of these. Why did they do that?
Because we jumped through that. Our guy that does the controls on the floor at Joyful said we had 57 different protocols on our production floor because none of the bosses would listen to him on what to buy.
So you talked to 57 different people and got 57 different answers.
Well, no, he had like 3 different laptops with like 5 different programming packages on each of them. And he was like, when I last saw him, he was like 3 months away from retiring and they never sent a replacement to learn how to do his job. He said, I've been trying for 5 years to hire a kid for me to train because there's, nobody can learn that many languages in a weekend,
I mean,
he gave up. He's like, when I'm out of here, they're dead.
that's corporate America. They do that all over the place. To be fair,
Well, they died. So
to be fair, that they've added 2 extra additional ports, but it's only a 4 servo driver, where this one is an 8 servo driver. So yeah, there's probably some different commands, but they could have at least made it
compatible,
semi-compatible.
Well, there is too. There's probably another digit in the data stream that one can't handle in order to talk to the other 4 controllers.
So anyway, and this one's got a light. There's a command to make the light do something, which is completely useless, but whatever.
Well, let's know it's working. Debugger.
It's a NeoPixel. I mean, I can make it rainbow for all it cares.
Well, red it got an error code, green it's working fine.
But
blinky different colors, it's like, oh my God, where'd the power go?
I need battery. Give me battery. More power. Captain, we need more power. So it's, I mean, it's working.
Flashy colored light.
It's working. It's just, I hate this. This person sensor seems to be very, very
twitchy.
The servo driver requires all the power, which, I mean, that makes sense. It's driving servos, and servos have to stay and hold power, so it's always throwing power down to them.
Captain Kirk is now doing lawyer commercials.
Okay.
Is Denny Crane?
Any, I don't know.
You ever see Boston Legal?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
One of the best shows ever.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it was a good show.
I haven't ever watched that show, but I've seen some clips. I really shouldn't.
You should.
It's pretty good. It's most of it,
5
most of
years.
it's pretty good.
24 episodes.
I know they poked fun at him in a loving sort of way for being Captain Kirk.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
There were a lot of little bits that
His
were
flip tongue.
tie-ins. Yeah. Yep. Easily.
Yeah, I've never actually seen Boston Legal, but I've seen enough clips to know he was very much lovingly made fun of being Captain Kirk. What is this? Who's sharing what? Why does it say open meeting? I'm viewing Ken's
I
screen.
told you.
Hey.
What happened?
Oh, you got, yeah, Kenny's showing.
Kenny's trying to show me something, but I don't know what Kenny's trying to show me.
I figured
He says open Zoom meeting. Launch.
as soon as he
It
ran out of power, he'd show up.
it worked, and then it didn't work. Then I showed a video, then it worked. Now the battery is dead.
How the light turns green.
The light turned
The
green.
pan side to
You've
side.
selected, you got to select the screen, Kenny.
I don't know what Kenny's trying to tell us.
Yeah, select or on, sure, go back and select share. You're gonna have to alt tab. Probably back to the other screen to shut it down. Oh,
Do you have Zoom installed on your computer, Kenny?
Yes.
Then I don't really know why it's doing that then.
Seems to be running in the background.
Kenny disappeared apparently.
He was the only broadcast.
I sent you the video. You saw it kind of working. So thing takes a lot of freaking power though.
Hey,
It did actually start working until
7060 won't do. It gave me a 65 watts.
it did actually start working until I plugged that in. As soon as I plugged that in, it drained the battery completely. I have to recharge now.
So that's going back 5 a day.
That
I love a microcomputer.
That's just a battery. An
They
extra
gave me a
battery.
65 watt power supply with a little, got the little heavy plug.
Yeah.
And when I plugged it in and turned it on at home, it was like, that's 65 watts, insufficient power to provide enough power for this device. You need the 90 watt model. It wouldn't see hard drives because of it.
So
So
that servo controller
there today. We just
is a little bit different.
Watt supplies left.
has a little bit different protocol to talk with than this one.
It's like we grabbed one of
But
these to try to set up
it's
a
got,
virtual machine,
you know,
or set up
an onboard
imaging
battery,
station
so
yesterday,
it should be
and we can't
better.
power any of them up. So I got that whole box of them. They don't have.
And then I'm
supplies.
gonna have to,
And price that? No.
yeah, I'm gonna have to
He's like,
bring the
we'll take
lines out and
the price-
connect them
we'll
like
take the
I did
price off for a
with
power
that
supply,
one
whatever you
robot,
spending on one on your next
and just have
purchase,
that
like,
sit
whatever. dude.
glued down here onto the
He's like, well,
mat or
Hey,
something.
channels
probably have to
here
order
are
that
for
stuff
4-channel.
back of them. They don't
But
have them
that
in
one should be a
computers.
lot better just because it's got the onboard
So
battery.
you can order like 50 or 60 of them, and then get them for like
Should
10
be.
$12 a piece.
And it's got the on off switch, so I could turn it off
I'm assuming
if we don't need it.
volts.
How is it? So, yeah.
It's very, very flaky,
A few of the.
but I think it's a power issue more than anything else.
And
drain a lot of power.
I don't think
laptops.
I don't think this is taking the power. I think this is taking the
Yeah,
power.
on a, he said
But it's
there's a,
not giving
You
it
have the
enough
lens
power.
cover,
no,
No, there's
normal barrel connector.
like
He said there's a
I don't
adapter
think-
for,
I
like,
don't
some
think
buses.
so.
They're around for those.
no, I don't have any
I might
plastic
have
on it.
a universal that
But
has
I think because this
this
takes so much power, it's not giving this enough power,
You know,
if that makes sense.
universal or not.
I think that's why it needs the extra battery.
Yeah, I was surprised. I realized this is a no game, but this one was pretty cheap. It says it's 65 watts.
I picked up like 3 universal things off.
And then, of course, the level shifter takes power. So everything takes power. Everything takes power. We need power. Captain, we ain't got enough power. Well, fix it, Scott.
Looks like you need a common bus. Nah, that'd be too easy. They set it to torture Leroy. And does a good job.
Did you build your assembly or did you make that?
Like what? Oh, yeah, that's just a. So I found it in a box. Must have bought it years ago. Never used it for anything. Of course, when it's front, so that's why it's on that big lid. I knew I kept that lid for a reason, and this was the reason. That box has been gone for a very long time.
Well, I got an article comparing OneDrive to Google Cloud. Interesting. They've hooked the OneDrive to 365. I think it's $70 a year, and so it's $12 a month or something like that.
Well, that's Office 365 is $12 a month.
$12 a month. Okay, it includes OneDrive. Okay, and then Google is $2 a month. Yeah, $2 a month for 100 gig. And so it's
$20 a year. That's what I pay for.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You buy it in one time. Okay.
It's a little bit cheaper to
so 70 versus 20. And now Microsoft is going to offer a reduced 365 or reduced instruction, reduced capability 365 for $2 a month.
I was saying because Google was like $10 a month for enterprise email with all the bells and crap on it too, like 365.
Yeah, I'm just paying additional storage 100 gigs or something.
Yeah,
for $20 a month, and or $20 a year.
Yeah.
And
we have the company.
I'm actually questioning whether or not I actually need that.
It used to charge by month last year, but 2 years ago, and now it's charging by year instead of each month $2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It seems like it was. They went to a year, and now Microsoft. They said that Microsoft's going to $2 a month, like with a reduced 65 reduced. I don't know if that's here yet, but you know how they are.
Well, it's probably their free email from their internet web suite with that, so you can't install it on your. You have to be online to use their tool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've used 365 for free.
There's a few companies right now that are pushing technically in perpetuity licenses for Office and Windows 11 for $50 for both. But it's one install on one machine, and when that machine dies, you're out of luck. You can't install it on a VM.
I can do everything I need on Google, so I don't care. I'm not that sophisticated.
It is substantially more primitive than what Office 365 is turned into.
Sure.
Office 365 is getting insane.
It was, you know, they were insane, you know, 15 years ago. Okay. 20 years ago, they were insane.
Well, I mean, now it's like a full-blown enterprise security network, not built-in security. I mean, it's
most of the stuff that you don't need. Yeah.
Well,
And sometimes you can't even get to your stuff.
but you gotta really have somebody that wants to dig into all the bells and whistles to turn it on and manage the protection. And I mean, you can do some really wild stuff in it for the price, but I don't know anybody that has the time to learn it all inside and out that deep.
Microsoft for years though, they have been trying to push the web model of OS and everything.
No, it's coming.
Yeah.
Windows 12 is they're saying is going to be a monthly fee,
which
and a Microsoft account in order to
I will.
Yeah.
You don't use Windows anyway, except when you have to.
Well, but that's what's scary, because the guy that was telling me about that was saying that they're making a deal with Intel, and then they're gonna go proprietary like Apple, and you can't run anything else.
Well, do you guys know what's been going on when the semiconductor Intel has been screwing everybody?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and Microsoft, they're buddies,
Well,
and they've been letting their technology lapse. Okay, and Uncle Joe's up there. Guess what Uncle Joe does? He just gave a boatload of money to help develop, put us in the next generation of chip. And who did he give it to? The people who've been doing nothing for 30 years.
Yeah.
Intel.
Yeah.
That's
what AMD only releases what Intel only releases what AMD manages to. When AMD outpaces Intel releases the next gen stuff. They are so far beyond what anybody can imagine. It's not funny. You know, I had a guy when I first got into security stuff, talking about quantum computer chips, that they were $1 million a pop, and if you weren't a 3-letter agency, you couldn't have them. You know, that's been around for 10, 15 years or better. And he said they had dozens of clients that had them. You know, and it's like that's kind of astonishing to me. But until you heard when the Malaysia flight disappeared, there was like 50 of those chips. So it was going to be a competitor company out of Malaysia making quantum chips, and there was supposedly 50 of them in a briefcase on that plane with their engineers.
Well, it turns out there are very few locations that can produce the new 7-micron, 5-micron chips. There are very few places that can, and they got locked. And that's why Taiwan is one location.
Yeah.
And they're what they've done is taken several technologies, and you can't just buy the technology. There are several technologies to get where you need to be. And Intel wasn't even, they've been nothing.
Yeah. So that was supposedly the Malaysia flight disappearance was over. That all became Rockefeller, I think, was the largest shareholder. With the disappearance of the CEO/owner, he gained control of it after Big Fasting did after 2 years or whatever. Which was like Intel's biggest competitor.
Well, there's a nice book on chips, what's going on, very thorough, very interesting read. What's going on?
Yeah.
And that's the big reason China wants Taiwan. They've got that site there is one of the few places that they can manufacture the 7-micron.
There was talk here a few months ago that Taiwan's looking to move all their chip manufacturing here and blow that plant up. So
Taiwan,
that's the whole thing with Intel going on in Columbus.
Yeah. If they and that's gonna, and the thing is Intel is involved, and they're rotten as people on the face of the earth. They've been
there's worse.
They've been doing you, even Windows users, for years.
Yeah. Well, Microsoft's tried everybody right off the bat. I mean, really, there was a lot better companies out there making way better equipment, but everybody adopted Microsoft for some odd reason.
It's just like IBM, they control their market. IBM was smarter for a long time. Yeah.
I read something today that said Ubuntu was going to come without an Office suite and then a whole bunch of other software pre-installed.
Like Corel.
Yeah. There's an awful lot of people that never use the Office suite in Ubuntu, so
That's what I
they
said.
make it part of the image. I mean,
I said the guy that I saw who had posted about it was complaining because, you know, and I said, well, just give it an option. Make it an optional one more step when you're installing. Just give a list of optional software to install.
well, that's 60,000 steps. I mean, you can't make it just Office software.
No, but there was like a whole list of software that they weren't going to pre-install, like Cheese and I don't know. There was a bunch of them. If they just made that as a click list where you pops up and says, hey, you want to install some optional software while you're doing this? And you go, I want that and that and that, and that's it. I mean, kind of like they do with the media codecs, where you have to click that
That's
extra.
because those violate the
I know
stuff.
I know that's why they do it with the media codecs, but I mean, it would be the same idea though, that just one more step, just click on.
Yeah.
Here's some optional software. We used to install it. We don't install it anymore. Because
I just would like to see what would have happened in the world of Corel Linux.
Yeah.
Before Microsoft bought them 5 days into their launch.
Well, you know, Microsoft loves Linux.
Yeah. That was the best operating system I had ever messed with at the time. You dropped the disk in, you boot the computer, you imaged it, and it was an Office ready desktop platform out of the box in 40 minutes.
No,
I have the CDs if you want to.
I have an image too, but I just thought it was slick. It was the first operating system you could do a full install off the disk without asking a single question.
the first Linux distro that I ever got to work correctly was Ubuntu. That was 1401.
I used Slackware.
It was the first one I ever got to install correctly. And ever since then, that's all I've used pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a good one over the years. Yeah. Slackware. I mean, Slackware, you still have a distro, I assume?
Yep.
I haven't seen it since like version 2.
First thing I got to install properly was Red Hat 4.2. And I bought that CD set at Micro Center in about 95 or 6. I don't know when Red Hat 4.2 came out. It was new. It was shiny and new.
Remember what was it? It became Windows.
Oh, no, Windows became something else. Windows got sued for being too close to Windows.
I remember seeing that at Micro Center going, oh, that is slick.
It was. The problem with that one was you ran as root, which I understand why they did it, but they shouldn't have done that.
Not any different than half the stuff does anyway, still, and even in the world of Unix. Last commands root.
No, they don't. That's the
beautiful. There's a half dozen commands in some you can execute that run as root, and hijack.
I was going
out of 10,000.
Raspberry Pi. I mean, all you have to do is type sudo in front of something.
And that's true in all of them. But you have to do a thing to make you think,
But
maybe there's a reason I have to type sudo here.
Raspberry Pi, you don't have to type the password in now.
Right. That's just configuration setting.
So
that one's easy to set.
I mean, if you could type sudo, you could type sudo su and become a root user.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't know Linux was that good. Well, Unix was that bad back in the day. I had no idea. Well, I mean, I was never a big hacker per se. The first time we went to a security talk and they did a thing on vulnerabilities in Solaris and crap, and I was like, Solaris has been dead for 10 years. But then they were like, oh yeah, you just kind of type like ls space and then put a couple weird commands and then boom, you're root as system.
and never type in sudo rm star.
Slash
star.
Yeah.
No, don't forget the -r too.
Yeah, you gotta have
recurse into all the directories.
Never do that. I was long time ago, I was reading a tutorial, and at the very bottom of the tutorial, it said sudo blah blah blah, and I was like, yeah. So the guy gives you exactly how to do everything, and then erase your hard drive.
So
and you don't know how many people were like, don't do that. The first part of his tutorial is great. Just never type RM in.
Might be somebody I know once upon a time who typed RM -r asterisk and in the world of Linux. I don't even know what Linux I was running at the time. Might have been Slackware. Might have been the reason why I quit using it.
Oops.
It wasn't me that did this, but they might have had share mapping in that subdirectory, and after the command had ran for about 15 minutes on a folder that was only like 15 megs, and we was wondering why it was still deleting stuff before they realized that it mapped to their other computer with a gig and a half of games on it.
Oops.
I lost a lot of stuff. I mean, I turned the computer off. I mean, it didn't get everything. There was some stuff definitely missing.
Oops. I had a FSS drive that went completely wonky on me. I was able to finally recover 90% of what was on it and reformat it to ext4, and it's been fine ever since. But I have no idea. All I did was tell it to unmount, and it blew up. Went and did some funky.
ButterFS?
Do I?
Were you running ButterFS on it?
I don't think so.
Because to me, BTRFS is the most fragile of all the file systems. It's supposed to do some neat stuff, but yeah,
I'm not real sure how this drive got formatted to that, because seems to me like I would have formatted it to ext3 or 4 anyway. And I unmounted it, and then all of a sudden, when I remounted it, when I put it back in, I couldn't access directories, and it would tell me that the file system was locked in some sort of loop or something. And I'm like, what the heck? And I finally was able to use gparted to do a partial. It kept failing on the checks.
Mm-hmm.
It would get so far and would say it would fail, and finally gparted got past the part that kept failing, and it fixed it enough that I went, okay, I'm done. I'm copying everything I can copy and reformatting this thing to something else, because I had no idea.
Yeah. I've broken some stuff. I'll give that.
Well,
From about,
but have you ever broken stuff just by unmounting the drive?
no,
It's probably bugging it.
yeah. But I've gone the other way on that. If you have something you love, it should have a copy somewhere. So every machine I've got that I care about is RAID 1. And many a machine, I pull the drive off, put in another drive, format it, connect it as one of the RAID members, copy data, swap out the original drive, and use that to enlarge things. I have had good luck, but a lot of that is because I understand the Unix way of things. There's a reason you don't run as root, because you can Linux thinks that if you're root, you should get control of your machine. If you desire to shred your root drive, okay, your choice. Bye-bye.
Doesn't it ask you one time if you're sure you want to do that or something?
On shred?
No.
That's how I used to. So
are you sure you want to do this? Yep.
Because of the way that formatting for RAID works, there's identifiers at the end of the drive that tell it where the other members are. And I use shred to delete that section of the drive just because it's a lot easier than trying to tell it to not use it. But yeah, no, it doesn't ask any questions. It just
assumes you know what you're doing and that's what you want to do.
You're going to ask questions to God?
Yeah.
It's your own risk. Do so at your own risk.
No, it does. If you try to do that as a normal user, you can't. Shred won't do that because the kernel says, no, you're a normal user. You're allowed to use it on a file, but not a file system. Whereas as root, you can shred anything you want.
You're the ultimate supreme chancellor of that system.
And it doesn't do that by monitoring each command. There isn't a filter in shred. There's a filter in the kernel, and shred has to work with the kernel. And that's the way things should be. Antivirus shouldn't check every file to see if it matches against some signature. It should say, is it this file that it's supposed to be? I'll die on that.
The antivirus is junk. Why the antivirus is winning?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Steve, my cameras in the barn, in my 10 barn, are squirrely.
Okay.
Is that a function of 10 barns?
It's a Faraday cage of sorts.
Yeah.
Got to get the antenna outside of the barn.
Okay. Well, I've got one of the cameras is sitting in a window with the antenna directly viewable from the window, and the antenna is up there. Do you think that could cause a problem?
Well, there's distance in there. I would try to use directional antennas.
I put a Yagi in today. Well, and you know what it said to me? It was unpleasant. But it just keeps dropping out and I'm coming back, dropping out and I'm coming.
I found a website that has OpenSCAD models parameterable for doing antennas, and they're the circularly polarized things. So you've got a left hand or a right hand signal, and those two are incompatible. But if both of your antennas are right hand, it's supposed to be like a plus 15 dB connection. They're pretty good and pretty straightforward. I mean, it's for 2.4 gigahertz or 5. you're talking about an antenna that would be about that long or that long. So 5.
It's 2.4 gigahertz, and it's, like, I'm thinking about trying horizontally polarize.
Yeah.
See if that makes any difference. But the camera out in the woods, I got another Yagi for it, and it's fine. No problemo, but it's
Can you put the antenna outside the barn? Can you mount it on the outside of the barn? And drill a hole or something?
It's the antenna is the WAP. So it's connected via RJ45. So I wouldn't want to go 150 feet underground. I don't want to go underground. No lightning.
What? Why would you have to go underground?
I'd have to run it above ground. That would be a mess. Yeah, that would get lightning.
I've run direct burial cable underground quite a bit. I've had very few issues.
What?
No, I did have one where I wire tied to the one top edge of a fence. That was messed up.
No.
So the barn has no power, or is that why
the barn's got power? I do have some TP-Link power line stuff. I might try that next.
So,
but something about the one in the back of the barn, I can see that's a problem. That's too far and too much tin. But the one that's sitting in the window where you can see the antenna, that one should be okay, I would think. But
glass.
Yeah. Glass is a problem.
That will attenuate the signal too. That's why if you could get it out, if you could get the antenna outside the building.
I don't know what frequencies or what blocks, but I can block a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, I got a WAP. I've got some WAPs that I'm buying one for $21, and they've got a mode that is point to point. You turn this one in a point to point connection to this one, and it talks a proprietary protocol between the two. But on the outbound side, it's just standard 802, whatever it is. And that seems to be, and they got out miles as a maximum distance, like 4.5 miles. They said when you get it, turn it down. Yeah. But you're going to be too close if you go point to point. I got one of those coming in. I'll use it as just a WAP. Yeah. And see how that one goes.
We looked at using those.
Play around this play.
ESP32.
My friends had like gigabit Ethernet network, and then they were going to split the cost of one of those.
No, it's just a display, but they made a watch for the demo.
Aim it from one house to the other house, like 4 down across the street.
It's got
gigabit networking, like
touch points at the top and the bottom to make it
$150 for each.
how many?
The 150 for
what was $12?
Well, how much?
$12
gigabit network, but
from
I don't know if they ever did do that or not. But I didn't even know that stuff existed until
I saw if you go watch.
But when they're joyful, kind of looked at that a little bit.
It's like $4.
Getting out the building, see. So we had problems with the line on the ground or something. It was ended up being the TV or the EBIT card or something went out on one of the Apple servers.
It's the same size as that screen. It's exactly the same size. It's even the same
page to have fiber ringing out to that one of the building. But Apple was gone. So,
maybe make a couple of eyes.
If I knew Apple wasn't ever going to come back with it, I'd have taken that server.
X server.
No, it was like a Dell
You
730.
have two?
No,
It was a whole
You
Dell
got
rack,
two?
and they left in there. But I thought was interesting for an Apple.
That one doesn't have a microcontroller. That was just
They're
a raw
still
screen.
tied into Apple
And
systems.
only
for their
the screen.
gift card
Only the
program.
Mhm.
We used to manufacture their gift cards.
$4.50.
Just before I started there,
Wow.
Apple canceled their contract because the cards coloring was off by like half a millimeter.
That one's not a touch screen. That was
or
just
something
a
asinine,
screen.
stupid. Because the in charge of the thing wanted to. That was funny that they were making that big of a deal over a color being a half a millimeter out of whack or whatever it was.
But it's Apple.
Yeah.
The only thing with Apple is about,
Yeah. So,
Yeah, but I mean,
when was
they
that?
paid.
Dayton?
God knows how much money to put all
Was,
that in there. They run
Sure.
gift cards for like 5 years.
National Night Out,
It's all their equipment
where the
basically.
police
We just
do the
provide
community
labor.
thing with everybody. And that was in Franklin.
Okay.
We got to build that.
T&T pulled out too. Yeah, they left all their HP microcomputers everywhere. We had probably 100 of those.
Big story.
Oh,
I think
those were neat little boxes.
$500,000, I
$600
bet.
a pop.
No, that it
20 something maybe.
yeah, it's expensive.
well, you can get computers now cheap, at least you could, last time I bought.
Well,
Nobody cares about the
You can get-
robot.
a lot of things cheap, but nobody wants anything other than laptops or tablets. Kids don't know what a computer is nowadays.
What's a computer? What's a computer, Dad?
Said that review a couple months ago where the graduating class kids, like 60 or 70% of them can't even type or even know what Excel are. They can't use any enterprise apps because they've never been exposed to them.
What's a computer, Dad? Actually, I had heard something about the next generation who you would think should be computer savvy have absolutely no concept of any part of it. They know how their phones work, but they don't know how computers
They
work.
can use a tablet or something, but that's about it.
They'll school us old guys on phones, but
If it's not a web page operated company, they don't know how to do anything else.
yeah, if it's not TikTok, they don't know anything.
Yeah,
I hate TikTok.
one of our security meetings like 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a bunch of people talking in there about that. They said they've hired, a couple interns and stuff in for over the summer and said they don't know. They didn't even know what Excel was. They can't type. They don't know. They're just
what are you
and all
learning at school?
these guys hired were like flabbergasted. Like, what did you guys do in school? And it was like most of them, it's like, well, all they taught us to do is to pass that test. You take that test 5 days a week every, if you can't pass the test, and most of the schools have gotten rid of all their curricular extras and stuff.
I'm always thankful because the grandkids are in a school that actually still have computers.
Yeah.
And they're actually showing them computer things, not necessarily.
Yeah. Well, that's like when computer classes though. When I was in school, it was like we played video games and
Well,
Commodore 64 and
when I was
like Veronica half the afternoon.
When I was in high school and went to my very first basic programming class, I got all the assignment work for the entire class and I did it in like a week. And she basically said,
do whatever you want.
Every now and then I might ask you to help some of these other kids. Go back there in the back and play video games. I don't care. It's like, that was basically how my school was because I already knew how to program.
We did it. In high school, they introduced basic programming or something. And course, our professor, or well, our teacher for that class was the chemistry teacher, because he was the only one willing to take on the computer classes, didn't know computers. So like, by chapter 3 or 4, which is further than he had planned to get to in the course, he couldn't help us because it was self-paced pretty much. Like me and my buddy, when we finished the book like 3 weeks in.
So the teacher was actually trying to stay a chapter ahead of the students.
Well, it was kind of a self-paced, but the plan was that over the course of the quarter, you only got through chapter 1 through 3. Me and my buddy, we finished the book. But
that's pretty much it.
It was
like within a week, I had all the assignments done and just said,
yeah,
here's a box of games, go back there and play games.
Yeah.
Which was supposed to be a reward if you did well in the class, but I'm like, okay.
I just always thought I never understood in my head though at the time was like, because we're like chapter 8 or something like that, and had a problem with like some kind of function thing or something that the teacher didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I just couldn't understand what it's like he's teaching the class why he doesn't understand what a function is.
I took so in high school we learned on Apple IIs.
Yeah.
Of course, I had a Commodore 64, but basics.
Yeah.
Just a little different gear, a little bit whatever. But I went and I took a QBasic class, and then I went to a college class and took Visual Basic.
Mm-hmm.
And other than having to put icons where they belong, I'm sitting there, I'm typing out programs inside the editor, and this lady, she looks at me and she goes,
"What are you doing?
What are you doing?" I said, "It's basic. You can type out the entire program inside the editor and then just go and assign the functions to the buttons." And she goes, "That's so much faster." Well, yeah, because the way they want you to click on the function, type the function in, go and do this, makes absolutely no sense. Type the whole damn thing in first and then go back and assign the buttons to stuff.
I got butchered in college in that because I didn't know how to use Visual Basic.
She said, "I'm going to partner with you." She said, and that class, Visual Basic was relatively new to me, so I did actually kind of pay attention, but I was miles ahead of everybody else in that class. Because I understood you could actually just type your whole entire program in. And the way the book explained Visual Basic was you type a function, you do this, then you go and you put a box somewhere and you type another function. Oh my God, that's so not the way you program a computer.
I got kind of lucky. When I was in high school, we had a business class with a bunch of TRS-80s. And I remember doing stuff where you had to draw out column and row what you wanted where and long and tire.
Yeah.
But worked okay. The Trash 80 was an okay machine. I knew more about CP/M than I did DOS by margins. I had a North Star General and one of those lug portable things with a keyboard that folded down. A K-Pro. That was a pretty neat machine. I had memory on that thing that was attached to the printer port. Yeah, so that gives you an idea how fast it was.
This typewriter.
It had 3 megs of RAM.
Lightweight.
Well, that was outside. On the motherboard, I think it was 24K.
I had my Amiga 500. I think I had 4 megs or 8 megs of RAM.
Megs.
which is a lot, because I think the max
That's a lot.
was 12,
Used to be.
because it only came with a half,
Yeah.
and I had the extra
And
half
the half was huge. It was like a big
Yeah.
block.
Yeah, and then I had the Blizzard board where you take the 68 or was it 68,000 chip out and put a sister board in there, and then it double clocked. So instead of 8 hertz, it was 16 hertz.
And what was always amazing to me about the Amigas,
Dims for the other.
the Amigas were amazing because they were always so good at video processing.
Yeah.
I mean, crap by today's world, but
Oh yeah, but I mean they were like
that was beyond amazing.
They had 24
then.
bit true color when IBM was still floating around with 16 colors.
When I was in junior high, we didn't have a computer lab per se, but every other teacher had a computer in the classroom. One of them had a Commodore 64, one of them had a Trash 80, a couple of them had some Timex Sinclairs. I think they were all their personal machines that they brought from home. Yeah. And it was just a hodgepodge. And that was pretty much when I realized BASIC's pretty much the same, with the exception of maybe graphics.
Yeah.
Graphics and sound were the big differences between the machines.
In middle school, 8th grade or whatever it was, the computer class, Bethel had our room. We just played video games, but it was like half Commodore 64s, and I don't remember what the other. It was like 2 other types of computers, but everybody wanted the Commodores because they had games on them.
Yeah.
You know, and the other ones had like typing, you know, like zombie typing or something. You know?
By the time I got to high school, it was all Apple IIs or Apple IICs or Apple II. They got some GSs, and then eventually they got some Macs, but it was all some variant of the Apple II.
I had a couple of programming books for the Apple II for their built-in assembler.
Yeah.
That was pretty sweet. You could actually do some stuff with that.
Yeah.
I remember the assembly book for Intel was like $1,000 back in the day.
The 8086 book was $12.95. That covered everything you need.
Everything I ever saw that book was like ridiculously expensive.
You got a copy if you want it.
Yeah.
I never bothered to learn until I did assembly on Commodore. But then, like in college, it was like, oh, do assembly on that, and it was like the textbook was like $1,000. No, ain't doing that.
I learned a little assembly while I was in high school. We had to we faked the machine out to actually play sounds, because the Apple really was horrible about playing sounds. And if you change some bit registers and something else, and it would actually play real music if you knew what you were actually doing. Yeah, well, real by comparison to
for a speaker this big, it sounded okay.
Well, it was better than beep.
Yeah.
Beep. Because that was basically Apple. Your sound was beep.
Yeah. I remember Byte Magazine had a 4-page program. It typed the whole thing in, and it was all peaks and pokes, and it would play Toccata and Fugue.
Yeah.
And it sounded good.
Well, that's ours was a little, it was a little like a little bootloader thing. And then you could go ahead and program actual music, and it sounded good compared to beep.
My uncle had a TI-99 4A with the voice synthesizer module.
That was the very first computer I ever owned, was a 99 4A. I've got it sitting at the house with dozens and dozens of games.
I don't know if he got us one or our parents. I ended up getting one of those. when he moved.
That's it.
But okay.
Yeah. I begged my parents one Christmas for a computer, and I was begging for a Commodore. That's what I wanted. I wanted a Commodore 64.
Yeah.
And I got a computer.
Yeah.
I got a TI 99.
That was
Now,
not the thing you wanted.
They found it on sale. It was closing out. That was the last TI had given up. They were done, and everything they got was, I mean, the machine was like $50, and 100 cartridges was like another $50. I mean,
You got some stuff with it. Yeah.
it came with everything but the disk drive. I mean, everything, books and everything. And in the end, after reading all the books and sitting there and programming for hours and saving stuff to cassette, I absolutely love that machine. But that was not the machine I wanted. And as soon as I got old enough to actually get a job, I bought myself a Commodore 64 because that's what I wanted.
Let's see, I don't remember how it does the TI.
Probably because it was on sale being closed out.
Well, Dad took robotics classes when he like 85. And that might have been why.
TI.
I didn't mind it, but I mean, it was. You type in all your stuff. My uncle taught me how to save it to a cassette tape. He had everything for a TI. He was on nuclear subs or something. So I mean, his was
the TIs. The TIs were an interesting machine because they actually had like modern buses and stuff on it that you kind of go, wow, why did this machine actually fail? But the programming it, because you had the type. Well, yeah, you had a limit, but every time you'd hit enter, you'd get another prompt. You couldn't go back up and re-edit like the Commodore or the Apple or anything else. If you needed to fix that line, you had to retype that line. So,
yeah,
I mean, there were definitely limits to but its speech synthesizer, its assembly language was pretty amazing. The TMS 99
copied a lot of games out of magazines onto it.
Yeah, thousands of games. I've got most of it still. I don't trust my cassette drives anymore because I mean they're old. So, but I bought a.
You got PowerSec and Hunt the Wampus.
Yeah, of course. And Miner 2049er.
Those are the only two we really had access to.
Miner 2049er was awesome.
Cartridges that were fun.
I bought a sidecar that has a CF card in it. The CF card has like almost everything ever produced for the TI 99. You shove it into the side port and it shows up as a disk drive. It's like, oh.
There's some of these stuff that was on I never had to do that. I asked for a Commodore in high school.
Yeah.
And I got a Commodore 64 once for Christmas.
Well, you were lucky because I asked for a Commodore in high school for Christmas and got a.
Oh, I mean,
TI.
we'd had the TI since I was in like 5th grade. I don't even know why. I wasn't even using it anymore by the time I was in high school.
My buddy across the street had a VIC 20 hooked up to a telex machine or a teletype machine for his printer, and he could run paper tape through it and program it.
Nice.
My down the street neighbor, he owned Atari stuff, which I never really got into the Atari stuff.
I didn't even know Atari did stuff.
But
in the cartridge 2600.
He was an Atari. He was definitely an Atari fanboy because he had the 2600, he had the 7800, he had the 5200, he had the 800, he had the 800 XL. He had everything that Atari had, and I was like, okay.
It was always so I had a Commodore. There was like 3 other people in the school that had a Commodore. So those were like the only 3 friends I had in high school. And then there was the other computer people that all had Ataris, and I always thought they were weird because I never could picture an Atari.
Yeah, I always
Atari I only ever knew of was 2600.
I always thought
well,
he
Atari 800.
My buddy down the street, he even had the Atari 2600 basic cartridge for the 2600. It was basic. You typed it in with a joystick.
Oh, good God.
Oh, yeah, it was basic.
That sounds brutal.
There was a Commodore user group in Middletown for years, and they met at Armco, and everybody would lug their Commodores down into the basement, set up 3-4 hours. You got this, you got this, you got this. We just swapped. At one point, I had so many discs.
I probably ran into you at some point. I never made that one, but there was where they went to like the flea market or something like, and
it's 7 o'clock. I think it's time to go.
When I could drive, my buddy took me to
Bye, Hart.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, and bye, bombs.